Hello, this is a quick tutorial on how I use the analog heat as a pseudo-compressor using the envelope follower. And I'll demonstrate it on a couple of patterns, starting with this one. And this is the bypassed version. And then with the saturation circuit. And I usually like having the drive settings very high up, and since there's no auto gain or auto level on the analog heat, you have to adjust the wet level accordingly. So the default settings are 50% drive and 100% wet level, but if you set it down to 50% wet level, you can take it up to 100% drive and it'll be the same overall levels. And yeah, I like to have a lot of drive, but I don't want it to be on the kicks because there's too much overdrive on the kicks. So you can use the envelope follower to lower the drive amount. So go to the second LFO page or a second envelope follower page, and it's already set to drive by default. So just lower the depth to -128. And the difference isn't that big, so you can go into the first envelope page and then adjust the envelope follower mode. So by default it's at, you can press the page and press no to reset it. And when I increase this one, the envelope follower mode, it'll adjust how much the envelope follower will affect the drive. Oops, let's see. -128, and then try again. And yeah, so the drive is getting ducked, but it's a bit too intense. So instead of adjusting this setting, which moves in increments of 0.5, you can instead go to the second envelope page and change the depth over here instead. And since there are two destinations, you can go to the settings page and go to modulation. And there are two destinations here. So let's take the second envelope follower and set it to wet level. And we can compensate for the level we're losing when we duck the drive. And yeah, so that's how I usually use the envelope follower when I'm using drive as the destination. But another trick you can do is, let's reset the settings, go back to saturation, go max drive and halfway on the wet level. the other trick you can do is, instead of having the drive as destination, you can set the dry-wet mix as destination. So let's set the wet mix all the way to wet, and then set the envelope depth follower down to -128, and then change the envelope mode. And if it's if there's a bit too much pumping, you can just adjust the wet level. And you can also hear very easily, if we turn wet level down to 0, you can hear exactly how much of the dry signal is coming through. Yeah, those are the two main ways I use the envelope follower. And the reason I like to duck the drive is because if we have... here's a different pattern that goes like this. Let's listen to it dry. And yeah, if we have a lot of overdrive, like this, it's a bit too much overall, but we can keep this amount of drive, but reduce the drive amount on the drums by using the envelope follower. And the reason I like using this is when I'm muting the drums, all the overdrive will still affect the softer sounds. So it's a nice way to make the drums or make the melodic elements stick out without really affecting the drums too much. Or at least I think it's subtle enough that it works to just have this effect on the whole track. Yeah, and I can show this on a different pattern. I think it's... yeah, this one. So let's reset again, and this is the dry pattern. So yeah, I'll just apply the same settings, and I'll just let it play and then adjust the settings. So envelope follower, negative drive, increase the envelope mode, go to the second modulation page, and then set the wet level higher. And it's the same thing here. The melodic parts, especially the guitar sound with a lot of reverb, it will sound very different when the drums are muted. So I'll unmute the drums on the high part of the guitar. I'll bypass the heat. You can also increase the, give it a bit of a pumping effect by going to the first envelope page and then increasing the release time. And yeah, I also like to use the filters for very just simple bass boost. So if we select a high pass filter and then lower the frequency almost all the way down and then increase the resonance to boost the lower frequencies, we can make the bass, the kick sounds a bit heavier. And if the bass sound is a bit too bassy, we can shave off the low end on the bass. And another cool trick with the filter is that if we, let's reset this and then set everything back up again. If we set the destination to dry wet mix, the cool thing about this is you can use the filter as an effect and still have the drums shine through the filtering. So it sounds like this. It also works on high pass. And I almost forgot the dirt parameter on the second filter page. And this one will basically, as far as I understand, it'll add some overdrive on the filter. And it's really subtle. Let's see. It makes everything a bit louder, and it's more noticeable if we tweak the filter a bit. So no dirt sounds like this. Actually, let's set the destination for the envelope follower to drive. And let's listen to the filter. And with a bit of dirt, it sounds like this. It's a bit hard to tell the difference on the saturation circuit, but it's very changes the sound a lot on the high gain circuit. So let's try this. So this is without any dirt. And with a lot of dirt. So the main difference I can hear is with dirt all the way down. The resonance sound is very prominent, it's the sound. But if we turn dirt all the way up, it disappears in a lot of noise. And the last trick I'm going to show is to just use the really extreme circuits, but with almost completely dry. So let's try it on. Let's just use this pattern. So round fuzz is actually a circuit I like a lot, but it's a bit hard to use, and it sounds like this. Oh yeah, filter. And it's really noisy, but if you mix in just a little bit of it, it can sound really cool. And on this circuit, I also like to use the envelope follower to set it to dry wet mix, so that kicks and drums aren't as affected as much, but only the melodic parts are. Let's try this one on the other patterns. Actually, on this pattern it sounds really cool, so let's... let's try this pattern. Yeah, round fuzz works really well on reverb sounds, like the snare. And so, yeah, it's really difficult to use, but it's a really cool sound if you can make a pattern that works with this circuit. And it's the same trick on high gain as well, just mix in a little bit of it. Yeah, and for these two circuits, I like them a lot on the melodic sounds. Let's see, like the guitar on this pattern. Yeah, same with the round fuzz. Except in this case, I think I don't like the sound of the round fuzz on the bass. So I think it's possible to shave off the low end of the sound being affected by the circuit by using the filter. So yeah, those are my favorite tricks. The envelope follower is really nice for just controlling the amount of drive, controlling the wet-dry amount, and controlling the wet level. For when you're ducking the drive, you can increase the wet level to not lose that much volume, just reduce the drive amount. And yeah, I think that's it. Bye.